Yes, the ACOM 102 response is has focused on filling in the gaps of the national response. Like, for example, we did a visit through all the evacuation centers, and we realized that there's a need for improvement in sanitation. So that's one of our activities. We improved sanitation in some evacuation centers, and lighting is another one. And then we provided solar lightings to the evacuees, and we did provided washing basin, sanitation facilities, or specifically for women and girls, sanitary thing. And we did organize a mission that involved all the clergies in Luganville, and we visited all the evacuation centers. In the evenings we had singing and praise and worship with them, and counseling, just encouraging them. Yeah.
Yes, all the buildings were covered with ash. Students sitting down in the classrooms were all covered with ash. There was ash all over the table, on the floor, everywhere. So we had to close the school too during the time because of the health of staff and students. So we had to close the school. It was quite challenging because during the time too, the airport was closed. So we had to wait for ships for the students to be moving out. But and then finally the decision came that we had to relocate. So we had a lot of difficulties was contacting all the parents from other places, and informations keep changing and changing. So it was quite confusing during that time. So finally the decision came that all secondary schools have to relocate. The principal of this college agreed to take the whole school. So once that was finalized, then they told us to start packing, and what they told us was you prepare yourself to go down for a whole year, for the whole 2 terms. We got them and all our other teaching materials, everything. We had also to bring our computer lab, bring that down to Santo. So it took about 3 shipments of our things down to Santo. So what happened is they also found difficulty. I mean, that was something too. We had to miss 1 week of school for the of second term, just because the decision was made in a short notice, and also they were not prepared for us. So they said give us about 1 week so that we can prepare for your coming. So we had to remain there for another week waiting. And the one difficulty we had was the dormitories accommodation for students, because like I said, it's not a boarding school. So, and then classrooms as well. I think this school has more than 1,000 students, therefore it's quite difficult for that. But they were quite really helpful, the principal of this college, or what happened. They built us 8 classrooms in just about 1.5 weeks. So that's semi-permanent classrooms that were built just so we could have classes. We can have classes in there. And like I said, accommodation was a problem. So couldn't house all our students here. only how many we can be able to fit them into the space given. That was it. So the girls were given 3 rooms, their dining hall and 2 classrooms. The boys had to move into this building, the classroom, for one night while they were working on their dormitory. So the girls, the ones that were using the classroom, for about 2 weeks or so, they slept there in the night time, and daytime they had to remove all the belongings outside so that classes could go on. But fortunately, Santo East eventually renovated and built some buildings, and now they are in 3 rooms where they are permanently inside. Room. Yeah. So I think one challenge that, like we've said, accommodation was a challenge, but the staff, I think thanks to ACOM too, ACOM had seen to our settling down the first time we came. So it put us in all different buildings or different areas of those for about a month or so, while we look for in our accommodations, and they paid for that too. So it was a little bit like we were lucky that we had to have that kind of arrangements made for us. So yes, it's quite challenging, a new experience too.
What was it like as students in the school when the volcano was rumbling and spitting out fire?
To our students, we don't feel comfortable, and we don't feel like we are in a comfortable place. Mm-hmm. All we feel is like, oh, maybe our island is going to thrown away or something like that, and like we don't even know how to control it. Only God knows. And you can say that this event is so, I don't know how to say, but actually it's like it's like it's threatening us, and we don't all these types of feelings come into us, like fears, to these kinds of natural hazard.
And did that take your mind off your schoolwork?
Of course it did. Especially in our learnings, our mind did not focus on what we are supposed to learn. This is because the fear is within this type of natural hazard, and we were frightened that it might be explode and every one of us could be dead, or even we don't know. Like all we have to do is like fears inside us. So that's why inside our learning we don't focus well.
What's it like to suddenly discover that you've got to move school?
All we discover is that when we move to the other school, in our old school we have all the resources, and when we move to the new environment, or when we evacuated, some of our materials are not there. So we have to patient, follow what is put or what is done for us. And about the school buildings, in our old school, our buildings are well, but when we move to the new place, it is not feel comfortable, because we normally experience a life in our old school, not in a new environment. In schools or inside the classroom is the noise. In our schools we don't really expect too much noise, but when we move to the new environment there's lots and lots of noise, so we did not focus appropriate or well in our schools or in our works, and even we did not settle well. I hope that we will well educated, and so that we may have a job, so that we may earn money for a living somewhere in different islands. If sometimes it comes and volcano is erupting, then we will move to the place where some of us is going to have a job.
Would you like to go back to Ambae, or does it depend on what happens?
Of course. We would like to, because this is our homeland and this is where we're born.
Thank you very much.